Morning, beautiful people. Okay, we are live. We're moving through some energy right now. Let's breathe. I'm just going to get this whole thing set up so that I can see you guys. I know I'm live, so let me get this live video up. Beautiful people. Some of you guys have been here in my world for a while. Some of you guys know the drill, know the deal. And some of you guys are brand new to my world, and I'm so excited for all the dimensions of everything as we move through this experience together. So I know some people are jumping on, so I'm just going to hold space for this as we maneuver forward before we take a big deep breath in, before we start to talk about the dynamics of this. You know, there's been times in my life, some of you guys have been journeying with me for a while, where I lean into very positive, uplifting, activating conversations. And there's a lot of positivity moving through this conversation today, but in a way of like depthful remembrance of what needs to happen in our world as we start to maneuver forward, as we're up against our shit, as we're upgrading in the space of everything. Dominic, welcome. Julie, welcome. Let me know when you guys start to land. I know people are starting to filter in right now, and I know some of you are in Australia. I've gotten messages from some of you that are coming and you're like, we can't watch it live because it's in the middle of the night. Totally get it. Totally understand in the space of everything and what we're moving through here. So I'm just going to hold space for a moment as people start to come through and to come into this beautiful expansion that we're about to co-create together. And I love this work. I love us stepping up into realism and into the space of this co-creation and into this availability that we have to be human in our real rawness and to actually understand what this means and to be able to move through this potently together. And this is a 3-day experience series that I want to call it. And we're going to move through some depth and we're going to maneuver through some stuff and we're going to lead into the space. LaDonna, it feels like I haven't seen you in forever. We're going to lead into this energy vortex together as we co-create each day in this movement. And the first thing I want to do, I feel like I got quite a few of you guys here now live, is I want to take a breath. So if you're driving, if you're working and you can't close your eyes, I get it. But for those of you that can, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to land with me. So let's take a big breath into the body. And I want you to let it go and release it out. And some of you might need to sigh. Some of you have already been running all morning. You know, if you're at Eastern time zone or you're on the East Coast of the world, you've already lived half your day potentially. So let's lock into this and land. So take that breath in and just come into this moment. And just stay here in this presence with yourself. So if we can learn and really pulse this beautiful availability we have to breathe all the time, it will serve us, especially in conversations we're about to have. Let's do it again. Breathe in. Let yourself come right here to this moment. Land right here. Oh, yeah. Whew. Okay. Whew. Coming back into the space. So when we start to dive into this conversation today about shadow work, about our movement forward, about the mirrors that are showing up in our life, about where we're being called into these next levels and what's showing up in this space for us in this availability, that breath, taking a moment to breathe, is a recalibration. It is a tool, and it is a tool that we don't use often enough. It is one of those tools that comes into play in our worlds consistently all the time. And if we used it more, we would be able to ground in more. So welcome to the call. We'd be able to allow ourselves to land in this field because our conditioning as humans is to keep go, 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 right? That's what we've been conditioned to do. And if we think about the infrastructures of our lives and we get into the meat of this actual reality, that is truth. We were taught as young kids to keep going, to keep going, to keep going. There maybe some of us were blessed with parents that were very present in our worlds, that had huge awarenesses in our life, and that taught us about grounding, about earthing, about being present. But most of us didn't. And I don't know about you, but most of us in this energetic space we were not taught that. So therefore, as we move through our experience growing up, we go to school then and they teach us the exact same thing. You only have 15 minutes for recess. You only have half an hour to eat, and you got to get it all done in this space of time. And then we're going to go moment by moment and minute by minute in this landscape of stuff. And we're going to learn these things. We're going to do this stuff, and then you're going to have more doing to do later. And then you're going to go home and you're going to do more things. And your parents aren't good parents if you're not in hockey and in baseball and in extracurricular activities and in Bible studies and in the neighborhood watch and in this and in that and in the space of that. And then every single day we're going to keep maneuvering. And if we get to eat as a family, some of us in the 80s, growing up in the 80s, actually did that in the space of everything. But most people growing up in the 90s and the 2000s and in the now life, we don't eat as families any longer, right? We're in the car eating dinner, or we're over here doing the things, or we're there, or dad won't be home from work until 8 o'clock. And there's a disconnection that's happening in the field of awareness. And if we can just look at that from the eye line that it is, some of you guys are being triggered already in the space of this conversation. It's like we have been conditioned to keep maneuvering and doing in life and to just keep going and going and going. Now, sometimes that serves us. Sometimes we got to grit in and we just got to fucking go to collapse some of the narratives happening around us. Totally get that. But a lot of us are in this space of conditioning right now. Another thing, another thing, another thing, another thing, another thing. And then we don't take space and time to come into this body, to be present in this moment, to witness, right? To witness the spider creating a web on the plant outside that I say hi to every single morning. To witness the hummingbird that comes to the flowers just outside the window here and to watch them flutter for moments of time, right? To witness the sun that's shining. There's no sun here today. And it's a clouded, like, energy kind of moving through. And when Lily and I went on a walk this morning, like, I have to be present in my life when I walk in this country. Where I live in the heart of the jungle. And some of you don't know, I live in Costa Rica. I live on a mountain. Literally, I have neighbors, but it's not like a community like in North America where you drive down the street and it's like sectioned off in certain spaces. I'm hidden by trees. Like at 5:30 this morning, the howler monkeys were out having conversations with each other. And I went, are they close enough that they're actually on the property here, or are they far enough away that I can't see them? You know, because sometimes they're on the property and I go out and I greet them and I howl at the howler monkeys because I can. But I have to be present in my life here, or I step on something, or I come into contact with some kind of animal form that I do not want to come into contact with, or there's these leafcutter ants that are like, oh my God, like it's amazing to actually witness them. And I don't know what their purpose actually is on this earth plane, but to destroy the plants. Like, I don't know what their purpose is. I don't know why they're on this earth, but they are here. I've never seen them before in North America. They literally cut down leaves off of plants. There's 4 plants that are literally lining the doorway here that had no leaves on them now. I'm watching these plants regrow. In like a week, their leaves are growing back. It's amazing to actually witness in the space of like how they can rebirth themselves so fast and so potently, which is actually a key dynamic of this whole entire series, because we also can do that. So I want to just ping that into the field. That's going to be a day 3 kind of energy that we're going to be talking about. But I want to land that in there because it's imperative for us to really feel and know that you desire changes and shifts in your life. They can happen ASAP and really fast if you desire that. But these leafcutter ants, if you put your foot down where they're walking and they crawl onto you and you're in their way, they will take out, like they literally, and their bites are like intense. And they aren't carnivorous like some of the other ants that exist, okay? But I'm just like, you have to watch and pay attention. And there's thousands of them. Thousands, and they travel forever. Like it's actually so beautiful to witness if you look at it from that energy, not from them killing the plants, but from an energy of their intention of their life. And I say this to you all, and why I opened with a breath and why I opened with a connection to self is that when we can come right here into this moment with ourselves and take space. If you guys are in jobs, if you guys are running around with kids, if you guys are doing this, you know that some days you are in full doing. You're in full doing because that's the storyline that you've signed up for right in this moment. And it's amazing. And that might be the storyline that serves your heart and your soul and your purpose and all the things. I'm not knocking your storyline. However, inside of your storyline, there's some key dynamics that are potentially missing for you to elevate into your actual true desired life that you want. Because I make up that there's some things that you're desiring to pulse into, whether it's love, whether it's connection, whether it's wealth, whether it's money, whether it's, depthful purpose, your spiritual connection to God and divine, and you are desiring this to come through in other potent ways that aren't happening right now, or that aren't happening in the way you want, or are not happening in the depthful connection that you know that is true for you. Some of us love to work and we want to be in jobs. That's the thing. Some of us will never be entrepreneurs, nor do we have to be, right? Everyone has their pockets in the space that they're working within in this evolution of their life. But some of us are living lives of mediocrity, of living lives of self-sacrifice, or living lives because we think we have to, because we're scared of actually doing the work, or we are avoiding the actual spaces that we need to go into to heal parts of us that are holding on so tightly wound in our energetic field that we keep cycling within. And I'm a culprit of this. Like, I can't teach this unless I've integrated this. Like, I can't be here for you as a beacon in the space of if I haven't gone through this. And I witnessed this in my life for so many years. So it's like, I look back and, I became an entrepreneur 16 years ago. So like this May coming up in 2026 will close out the 16th year of me being an entrepreneur. And guys, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Okay. So like I was the overachiever student and like employee. Okay. So I would come into your business. You'd love my energy when you'd interview me. You knew I had some assets that could help your company, and then I'd jump in and I'd fix everything in the company, okay? So like, let's just say when I worked at Aldo, I became a manager really fast-tracked because of the fact that I understood the system, I knew what they wanted from me, I looked at the measurables, and I figured out a way to hit the measurables that they wanted, right? So they wanted us to have a certain percentage of let's say shoe add-ons, okay? So if you go into Aldo, they're trying to sell you either slip-ins or some kind of potion for the shoes. Obviously, I've been out of this arena for a long time. I can't even verbalize half of this any longer. They want you to add add-ons into the space. The more, rings and earrings you buy and the more numbers on the bill, like that's the numbers that they're looking for. So I would work the system and I would literally understand sales, and I'd understand the people, and I'd ask them what their desires were. And if they were buying a certain shoe, I'd be like, is this a long-term shoe for you? Do you want to keep it for a long time? Then there's a process and a protocol you need to go through in order to make sure that this is transpiring for you, and blah, blah, blah. And I would ace it, and I would ace it, and I would ace it. Then I went and became a manager, and then I had my own location and store, and then the store was doing well, and then I'd get fucking bored because I'd fix all the things, and then I'd go find another job, and I'd do it all over again somewhere else. And I start at the bottom and I work my way up to the top, and then I'd become this, and then I'd hit all the measurables. And like, I was the number one in Canada time on the window in Tim Hortons when I worked there for 3 weeks. Okay. Like, I had the number one score, the fastest time on the window. So if you guys are Canadian, Tim Hortons is a coffee takeout location, kind of like McDonald's, but they're just specifically like coffee and breakfast stuff. They do have sandwiches and lunch and things like that. But I worked there for a short period of time. It was a bridge for me in my world before this actual business started, like 18 years ago. And I was overqualified to work there, but I needed the space. I was leaving a relationship, and it's a huge, long story, but it's like I walked into that job and they ended up putting me on the window, and you would come at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd hand you your coffee. I'd be like, have a great day. I'd smile at you. I used to be like a box office girl at the movie theater. So I was so used to getting change, and my mind works in numbers, and I work really fast in numbers. Like, I could get you change to be like boom, 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 boom in the space of that. So it didn't take me long to actually create change for you. So when you were coming up in the space, and I knew some of the dynamics of potentially what you'd pay for. So if your order was like 127, I could assume you would either pay me 127, or you probably paying me in a toonie, or you were going to give me a bill, and I would have literally the 73 cents ready to go to give you change. If you gave me a toonie, you got that, you got your coffee, you got out the window, and you did a good thing. And then they wanted to promote me, but like some of you guys have heard this story in the space of, but my mentor was like, you need to go work at this place for like a short period of time as a bridge, and you cannot get promoted in the space of this. But I say this to you guys, and like, you're welcome to calling random stories in the space of everything. But I was this overachieving employee. I would walk in and fix stuff, but I also was avoiding the actual space of what I was being called into. I should have, quote unquote, been an entrepreneur a long time ago. I should have been making $1 million a year in business a long time ago. But I was avoiding and resisting doing the actual work to hold it, because I was always trying to prove how good I was to you in the space of being an employee, being like, people did not like working with me in the restaurant industry. On Saturday nights, we'd have competitions as to who could sell the most of something. And I found a strategy, always. And I worked the strategy. Everyone would be like, they'd come in for dinner and I'd tell them what the specials were, which was exactly what they wanted me to sell. And the most people, like the person that sold the most of that got the prize. And there was even weeks where my manager was like, well, Colleen won again, so she's not getting the prize this week though. And I'd be like, how is this a competition then? You got to ask your team to step the fuck up into the space of. But damaged Colleen, quote unquote, avoider Colleen, quote unquote, would be amazing at her job because I didn't have to look at myself. I was outward focused all the time, trying to achieve, whether that was in band, whether that was in the restaurant industry. Okay, Lily, enough. Whether that was in the space of working out, like the best aerobics instructor that there was, and I was always striving out there instead of looking in here. And at the same time that I started the business was the same time that I started working with my spiritual mentor. So it was May long weekend of 2010. And I started working in the space with her. That was my first ever clearing. And I had no idea what this was about. I had no clue what I was getting into. I just knew I had to say yes, which some of you are here and we don't have any ties to each other right now. We met somewhere along the line. Someone said to you, you should come into this space, and you got here somehow because somebody said something to you and you just said yes to being here. You just said, I think I need to be here. I don't know what this is. And some of you are watching this on replay and you're going to hear this exact same thing. Some of you, that's how you landed in my world whenever you landed in my world. We got connected somehow and you said yes to this energy. And here we are co-creating in an energetic space. Whether this is our first time in this rounding together, let's call it, or whether we've done this multiple times in this life together, or whether we've done this multiple times in other lives together. And a lot of that's true for all of us in the space of this. It's not our first rodeo, right? And it's like, when we start to actually look at this in the space of this, it was like Colleen back then, 16, 15 years ago, it's technically the 16th year that I'm in the space, happened upon, we know there's no happening. It all is in alignment. This spiritual mentor that did this clearing on me, that I had no idea why I was meant to do this thing, but all I knew was that this was the beginning of a life that I knew I needed to be on. And a few days after that clearing, I started to see life completely different. I started to see where all the veils were. I started to see all the lies people were living in the space of my life. Like I was under this guise. It was almost like, I was under a spell, which is actually true. And I was living life under this vision and this illusion that life was a certain way and it wasn't. And people in my world could see it, but I couldn't because I was so outward focused and wasn't paying attention because I wanted it to be like this. And I was so in the space of like wanting it to be like this that I refused to actually look at the truth. And so started this journey a couple years after that, so I worked with that mentor for 5 years. Some of you know that story. 1 year inside of there was all around shadow work. Now, the first couple years, I was overachieving Colleen, the student, working with my spiritual mentor. She's like, here's the work. This is what your guides are saying. This is what you need to get done. And I would get it done. Surface level. I refused to dive in. I was scared of what I would see. I knew that I was playing out a rhythm and a system of I am not enough in the space of this, but I didn't want to look at it. I wanted to pretend like it wasn't happening. Like it wasn't there, like in all my interactions. And at the time I was dating a man who was a very fucking big mirror. And if anyone knows anything about twin flame energy, he is my twin flame. And if two entities, two humans get into a twin flame relationship and actually are in a relationship and haven't done the work to heal, it is fucking crazy. They have to separate to heal themselves individually in order to come together in unity. And if they haven't done the work to be together, it creates this whole entire mechanism. Now, I'm not going to go into twin flame energy today, but know that I wasn't doing the work and he wasn't doing the work. So it was like this explosive energetics, okay? It was explosive. We mirrored each other's lessons every fucking day. And the more we avoided the work, the more intense it got. I can't even believe we were together for 4 years and then fucked around for way too many years after that. But it's like, because we just couldn't let go of each other, because we knew at our heart center we were so connected, but we weren't willing to do the work. I'm about to sneeze, I think. It's going to come through potentially in a little bit. Or maybe I'm getting on. Okay, let's move some energy through that. But I knew at the heart of me that I needed to do some work around this I'm not enough, around this self-sabotaging behavior, around me not feeling inadequate enough to be able to move through into this relationship and to hold my place there, into the life I wanted. I was cycling in business consistently all the time. I couldn't seem to move past $10,000 months. And that's amazing in the space of that. Some of you are really desiring to actually hold that in your life, but I had been at that position and in that space for a long time, grinding it out though, forcing the hand, like literally burnt the fuck out, just trying to make it sustain and happen because of the fact that I didn't want to do the deep work. So I was refusing to go into the spaces I needed to go into to actually heal, to actually move it through, to actually get into the depth of myself, to be like, why do I not feel worthy to have money flow easily into my life? Why do I not feel worthy to hold this relationship that I truly fucking desire in this space of things? Why am I taking these actions and self-sabotaging and destroying the fuck out of the life that I actually truly want to live in this space? And I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to deal with it. I just wanted to keep being busy. I just wanted to keep on my to-do list, pretending like I was actually getting somewhere in life. I just wanted to keep up with the facade. And for a lot of years that worked. A lot of years that worked. And I'd start to do some of the work. I'd start to kind of dive into a little bit of the spaces. I'd start to look at some of the dynamics. And when all this whole COVID maneuvering happened in the world, it forced a reset on a lot of us. And it forced us to look at ourselves differently. And I don't know if some of you had this experience in the space of it, but it was like, I was very pragmatic in business at the time. Okay, I was leading in leadership development, in culture management, in growth strategies. Don't mind, my nose has been running and that yawn was like, whew, massively opening up something in my body. So let's just hold space that way in case you see me knocking some stuff out of my nose. Just have some grace. Lily, enough. Come here. Hey, it's okay. Right? There's a lot of action happening here today. I feel a lot of energy in this space right now. So I'm just honoring it. The dog is honoring it. All the things moving through the collective. Okay, where was I? Business. So I was in a very pragmatic edge. Although years before that, I had taken all these spiritual courses, got all these certifications. Some of you guys know I was Akashic Record trained in 2018, past life regression trained in 2018. I did animal communication earlier on, a few years before, that was actually the first course I ever took. So that was probably 15 years ago. Then I did automatic writing certifications and mediumship, and I have all of these spiritual certifications that I took throughout the years for fun. Okay, and if you didn't know me, because I had to do some case studies, so I'd find people that were kind of open to this in my life and do my case studies with most likely the same 3 to 5 people in my world just to get the certification done, to have it for fun for myself. Okay, it was like Spirit was setting me up and I was sort of listening in the space of that to be able to kind of maneuver it through. And so this whole entire COVID thing happened in 2020 and all of my pragmatic business shut down. The whole world did, which means all of my income shut down. I didn't have stuff online. I didn't have reoccurring income when it came in different ways, like communities that I have now that serve a certain space, like different aspects of stuff that I do today. I didn't have any of that. So for a few weeks, I went through a whole shifting of dynamic. There was one morning I woke up, and I say this with so much love and grace to myself, and some of you guys have been through this, that I was like, maybe I'll just start drinking. Why not? There's nothing else to do. I'm fucking watching Netflix all day long. It was like I was avoiding the actual work I needed to do. Okay, let's just be real. Okay, I was avoiding the work. And I was like, well, maybe I'll get to that tomorrow. Maybe I'll look into creating a course. Maybe I'll in the space of this. Maybe, and I was like, let's call it like it is, I was avoiding. And then I started to self-sabotage. And so I started drinking around noon. You know, I'd go stand in the line at the LCBO with all the fucking people in line at the LCBO going to get my wine for the day. And I'd be like, how many bottles do I need today? And I played that game for a couple weeks until one morning I woke up and I remember letting my dog out around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I passed out on the couch and she was outside for like 3 hours. And I'm so happy it was April and it wasn't fucking snowing and fucking freezing, because I could have woken up to my dog being dead. And I remember the fucking punch that came through, that I was like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Okay, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And then I took a moment and I breathed into that space and I go, why am I self-sabotaging the fuck out of my world? And I started to do the work. And this is what we call shadow work. This is the work most of us avoid. We know what we want, but there's a gap between there. There's systems that have to stop. There's limitations that we've put into the space of things. There's a running belief system that's happening in our space, and it's making it really hard for us to get to where we want to go, because we haven't done the work to embody the true versions of us, because there's still this dynamic that's moving through us that's blocking this from happening. And for Colleen in April of 2020, it was that self-sabotaging version of me. So as I started to move through that laneway and started to look at this, I started to dive deeper into self-sabotage and to be like, why? Why is this playing out in my life? Even though I had done all the clearings, like some of you know, my 12 Veils of Illusion program, which literally ends this week. I teach it once a year. It's a shadow program. Self-sabotage is in there. But I did the work, and then I refused to sustain the life I wanted because I kept reverting back to old patterns. And I kept reverting back to old identities and old stories and old energies in the space of that, because somewhere inside of me, I didn't feel worthy to actually have the life I wanted. And I want to state this in the purity of this light, is like, we are all worthy of everything we desire. If it's in us, it's for us. You've heard me speak to this a lot. If you've been in my world at all, ever, I say this often. If you have a dream, a vision inside of you, someone didn't just plant it there. You chose this vision and dream for your life. You chose it. Whether that's relationships, lifestyle, money, where you live in the world, your kids, how you do life, how you show up in your body, all of it. You chose it all. So if it's in you, it's for you. There is nothing that can take that from you unless you give it away. Nothing. So for a long time, I kept giving it away. I kept giving it away to other people. I kept looking outside of myself for the answers. I kept going, well, what do you want me to be? I will be whatever you want me to be, because I desired that relationship. My ex-partner was 80% of my list. And at the time, Colleen, who didn't feel worthy, was like, fuck, I've got 80%. This is amazing. Oh my God, it's 80%. This is so good. I'm going to fucking do whatever I can to hold this guy down and to be what he wants me to be in the space of this. And I had so much FOMO around this relationship. Okay, let's just frankly lay it all out for you guys today. So much FOMO in this relationship that I literally twisted it and held it hostage and refused actually to do the real work in order to hold the vibration of the woman he actually wanted and not the parts and pieces of the woman I kept showing up for him for and thinking that he wanted me to be. And I was like, that will be enough. It was never enough, because I, Colleen, should be able to 100% show up in this space, and that 100% is exactly the 100% you're looking for. And the same goes for the man in my world. But when I didn't do the work to hold worthiness and that I'm enough, or to disconnect that self-sabotaging behavior, she shows up every so often. She comes into the space and she's like, yo, I'm here to play. And I'm like, yo, bitch, sideline. We're done with this. Now, every so often, I might go into the space with her and be like, okay, let's actually adventure in this again. But it's not in a way of detriment, and it's not in a way of self-destruction. It's in a way of I'm choosing a certain behavior in my life that's serving me in this moment, but it won't serve me tomorrow to do it again. But there's a key difference in that energetic field. That's when you know you've done the work. So let's just say every so often. So I have a girlfriend of mine that loves to smoke weed, okay? And I don't see her that often. But maybe once a year when I get together with her, she's like, hey, you want to smoke a joint? And I'm like, yeah, let's smoke a joint. Because I can hold that choice. But I'm not smoking fucking weed every single day and going back down the rabbit hole of that. I don't go buy a quarter or a half ounce or an ounce of weed to have in my house to smoke weed all the time. I make a conscious choice, just like some of you consciously choose to drink wine every so often in your world, or to go down a certain alleyway, or to experience something in your life that you know doesn't serve you in the space of, but might serve your connection to spirit today. And it's like, we are human here to have experiences, and I'm not trying to diminish that whatsoever at all, but if we are doing it out of a vibrational alignment that isn't in the purity of our light, it's not serving you. It's you using it as a crutch or a band-aid or an avoidance instead of actually stepping up to do the work. So why this is so imperative at this moment of time in the collective, and why this dropped into the field. Obviously, we know we're in a very thin veil week, okay? So some of you that deal with energy know Halloween, All Hallows Eve, there's a lot of energy moving through right now, and there's a lot of stuff coming in to the 2026 year that's going to get amplified inside of us, that is calling us into our highest vibrational light. But we've got to deal with this. We've got to shine a light on that mirror that's showing us this inside of us in order to move it through, because you are being called into a laneway. Some of you are being called to lead in certain aspects of things, but you cannot lead other people if you are not doing the work to lead yourself. You can't. And I might be 10 steps ahead of you, but those 10 steps are imperative in this conversation today to move you through what you need. You're going to take a key from this. Somewhere along the line over the next 3 days, you're going to get what you need from this. Now, you're going to make a choice. You're going to make a choice to either step up in with that key and to shift something in your world and to make a change and to do the things and to hire the person and to invest in the stuff, or to do whatever you're going to do. You're going to decide coming through this that is a key that you're going to use. I can't use your key for you. My job is the message. And my job right here is to keep looking at this landscape in my life to be like, what is my next evolutionary step, and where am I needing to do the work? I am doing the work to hold $100,000 months, which is fucking up my brain some days. Okay, it's like, yes, I can get to 30K. Yes, I can get to 50K months. I can, and I have. Okay, and it's a beautiful way, and you can see the work that I've done over the time. Some of you have been in my world just this year and actually noticed the identities that have shifted because of this. But I'm knee deep in the work. This morning, I'm having conversations with my own self in the space of what needs to shift in this evolution inside of my world, because there's an old identity version of me that keeps coming up to try and play. And she doesn't hold the keys and the codes for what I actually want. She got me to here. She was a prong in the landscape of this timeline. She was an imperative one, right? She was a bridge. But we're over the bridge. We're on the other side of the bridge. But she keeps showing up to try and get me to come back to her. When I know here that the version of me that's meant to serve you, that's meant to serve the world, that's meant to shine brightly in the world, cannot go backwards. I can't. And even in the moments of time where it's like, boom, the thought comes in that's an old identity thought, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not how we lead life. This isn't the version of me in the world that I want to be, because I already am. I just got to activate her in the field. I've just got to lead with her every day, even when there is no evidence that she's here. Right? If you go look at my bank account right now, it doesn't tell you that I'm a millionaire and that I make millions of dollars a year. It doesn't say that right now. And that's the mind fuck that we go into our play, is that we keep looking at our reality instead of doing the work to shift the reality, to collapse the time to get to here where we really truly desire to be. And it's like, I can keep envisioning and keep seeing that $100,000 month in my bank account, in the landscape, in Stripe. As I close my eyes, I can see it. It's there. It's like, boom, last 30 days, boom, boom, boom. I can see it. And now I've got to bring it into here, which we're going to do some work on to move through some of the shadow stuff tomorrow. But I got to bring it into here. And then when I bring it into here, I can see my heart got restricted. What the fuck is that? Oh, because you truly don't believe that you are enough to be able to hold this. Fuck. Where is that in my timeline? Oh, because remember when you were 15 months old and your brother was born, and all of a sudden now you got this and that transpired, and then your mom said that and that imprinted in you and that left a landscape? We've got to go back there. We've got to do the work over here in these moments to shift the perspective and to shift the outcome of the energy. We don't realize how much energy rules our life. Everything in our life is energy. Everything. Every physical thing in this life is energy. Everything. Everything. And if we start to actually believe that and see that and know that, because you put anything under a microscope, it will break it all the way down to the particle that's moving in energy. So when we shift the frequency of our life, of our mind, of our actions, of our decisions, of how we're taking in things, I'm like, I love this coffee. And every time I drink it, I'm like, may this coffee fuel my body in a way that is in its highest vibrational light. That energetic imprint on the coffee changes the energy of this coffee and makes it into what I desire it to be. That's how this works. All of it. But our shadows and the illusions that are here, that are blocking us from moving, that are bringing in that ceiling, you know, me up against those 10K months trying to fucking force through the fucking ceiling in the space of, I needed to do the work, to actually get to the root, to do the work of worthiness, to actually move through that. And then I would peek out of it a little bit, be like, oh my God, I'm getting somewhere. But then I had to go in deeper. And then I had to go in deeper. And then I had to go in deeper. February 2024, I did a psilocybin journey that brought me into a space to actually open up some of the wounding that was happening in my womb area as a woman. So if some of you know, don't know, divine, we have a portal way in our actual body that's connected to divine. And most of us just see it as a birth canal, but that, like, if you think about this, a soul comes into your fucking body from divine energy to birth into the world. Like, that whole thing should actually baffle your human brain if you think about it. We've come to believe that it's just a woman gets pregnant with this thing and this body makes itself in the thing and it comes out. That's what the medical system tells us. We don't realize that 4 months, 5 months, 6 months inside the womb, all of a sudden the soul activates and there's a human, another human in this body. We have a direct portal way to divine. And I couldn't figure out why, from my divine feminine energy, I couldn't co-create more wealth in the world. Well, that shit was blocked by a certain circumstance that happened to me when I was 17. And it's like, I didn't understand it until I started to do the deep-rooted work. And then I went into the fucking work and was like, holy fuck. And then I changed the energy. I can't change the physical experience that technically happened in this timeline to this body. But I can change the energy. I can go heal the 17-year-old version of me that was trapped in this energetic vortex, holding on to this story that nobody knew about because of the fact that I believed that it was my fault. Because someone told me that night that it was my fault that I had asked for this. And I believed it because I wanted to fit in, because I had all these fatherhood wounds, because I was trying to get attention everywhere I went, because I didn't want to deal with the stuff inside of me that was the disconnection. And I had to go back to heal that, which also healed my relationship with my mother, who hadn't dealt with that in her own life. And in this ceremony for 4 hours with psilocybin in the middle of the jungle up on the mountain on Mount Chiripo, this most potent land that we were on, right beside the river, I sat with this and did the work. And I couldn't get to where I am today, and the money that I make today, and who I am as a person today, and how I can show up in the world today, and how I can beam this light today without going there. And the shadow work is not always trauma, guys, but some of it is. Because some of you have been holding on to these stories for so fucking long that they need to be transitioned. And this isn't the, like I said at the beginning, the come for love and light conversation today. This is the real talk. That if you are desiring massive impact in the world, and you are desiring a certain level of wealth, and you are desiring this love connection, we've got to go through this to get to there. We have to. So today's conversation was about a mirror and bringing this forward for you to look at. So I want to give you some tactile things to take from this call to experience. Whether you do the work or don't do the work, you can be the overachieving student like Colleen and fucking fastly, quickly go through the work tonight and not actually go into the depth of it. Or you can take a script out of the Colleen being forced into the fucking work because she needed to step up, because the timing was there, because I had to do the work to get to this moment in time in order to get to here, to get to you, to get this out into the world. And you can take some moments tonight with yourself. And maybe it's this weekend coming up. Maybe you don't got space tonight to do this. But you can take the assets today and start to actually look at this. And some of the key questions I want you to start to work on if you desire to play this game with me are: number one, what am I truly cycling in right now? What are my cycles? And if you start to really look at that, it could be cycles of scarcity. It could be feast or famine energy with money. It could be this unworthiness space that you're holding. It could be toxic relationships. It could be that you're shutting your mouth when you need to step up into the space and own some things in your world. I don't know. What are you cycling with? What is your belief around money and wealth and the life you want to live? Do you actually believe that you can have it? Do you believe that, like, at the true, no one's going to read it. I'm not going to ask you to share it in the space of this is your work. And if you can't get honest with yourself, how the fuck do you actually expect to actually move forward in life? Do you believe that you can have everything that you truly want, like at the core of you? Or is there something in there that actually, if you were to get honest, doesn't believe it to be true? So over the last 8 months, pretty much since the beginning of this year, I've been doing so much work around worthiness. And I know my relationship, like my key relationship in this life, the man I will marry is going to be a powerhouse man. I already know this because it's destined for us. The warrior woman in me will meet the warrior man in him, and we'll go do warrior fucking shit in the world together. And it'll be explosive and it'll be passionate. I once said to my ex-boyfriend, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the song called Crazy, by Hunter Hayes. I don't even know how I got Hunter Hayes in my playlist one day, like years and years ago, but I did. I used to do this often to be like, my guides. What is the message you have for me today? And then I'd go to all the songs in my playlist and hit random, and then that song would come up, and like whatever song it was, and it would be the exact message I needed to hear in the space of everything. And so one day, this Hunter Hayes guy showed up in my playlist. I don't know where the fuck he came from. And he had this song called Invisible. And at that moment in time, I was like, holy fucking shit, this makes so much sense. And then I started to look at the album. And he has this song called Crazy. And it's about this relationship of being like crazy in love. Like, I want this deep devotion, this deep energy, this like fucking fierce, fiery, passionate space. And I was dating my ex twin flame at the time, and he goes, I don't want that relationship. And I was like, oh, well, I was, just listening to that song and just like, no, I don't want it either. 80% of the list. And so I went, boom, put it on the shelf. Now, I'm like, there's no fucking shelf. I want the crazy, passionate, like raw, real aspect of life. Like, I want the discovery together. I want this dynamic. I desire this at the root of who I am. But this year, because I can feel him fiercely coming to life in my field. I don't know where he is in the world right now, but he's fiercely here. And I got into my shit at the beginning of this year trying to hold what this capacity would be. Trying to fit into a box that I felt like I needed to be in. Trying to figure out how I would be worthy. And one of my beautiful girlfriends, who I love and adore, she's like, what if he has to step up to be worthy to be with you? And I was like, I have never even considered that before. Why? Because I was playing an old storyline that said I wasn't worthy to have everything I wanted, and that I would have to become something that I'm not. So what if I just am who I am, and in that space, I get to discover. So some of you know, if you've been in my world and in some of my programs, that I'm casually dating a guy here. He's not my guy, but he is my bridge at this moment, where I'm practicing and embodying everything that I know I truly am. I show up as myself 100%. There is no guises, there's no illusions, there's nothing in the space of this. He doesn't want the same life that I do. He loves his life in the space of this, but there's something about us co-creating together for a short period of time that I'm honoring, and whatever that is in the space of, I don't make anything up about it. I just am present in this life, and I'm just watching when an old version of me shows up in the space of things to be like, okay, what was the trigger here? Why did this show up? Was I feeling inadequate? Was I this in the space of, am I just in curiosity? And I get to watch to do the work. And I get to be in this 100% fully in this laneway right now, in this experience, doing the work in real time. So when I give you these questions, I'm calling you forward into this version of you that is already here. You've just got to bridge the gap with her, with him. You've just got to decide that this is how you're living, and that you will no longer be in old identities, and that you will do the work to release the shame, to release the judgment, to get yourself out of scarcity in the space of this, because you're worthy enough that you can in 1 hour's time transmute your life because you decided you can. And that's what we have as keys. And that's what we get to do in the space of this, is like in this evolution. So the next question is, where am I blocking myself in this life? Because you are. And when we take full responsibility that my life has been co-created by me in this power and potency, it changes everything. Because if I created everything in this moment of time, I can create everything else that I want in this moment of time. And I can shift that shit so fucking fast, but I've got to see it for what it is. And I've got to honor it for what it is, and I've got to move with it for what it is, and I've got to feel feel that in my field. Yeah. My last question that I want to give into the space of, what am I willing to do to make the change? I said to one of my clients this morning, she sent me a message, and she may even be in here, but she says, I'm procrastinating, and I just can't seem to get over the regret of this, and this. And I go, okay, let me honor you first. Thank you for sharing this, right? In the space of, I honor this moment. But you get to choose right now how you decide the rest of today. And are you going to keep letting that story move through? I don't remember the questions. If someone has the questions, can you drop them in the chat? Because I channeled all of them. I'd have to go back in, Julie, and read them. Like, I really have no idea. I love that I'm such an open portal, and I also love that some of the shit doesn't stick. Sometimes I go back and watch some of the trainings I do, and I'm like, holy fuck, that was good. Like, I consciously am not thinking about anything. I am just right here in the space of this. And for some of you guys that are in my 2025 closing out portal, I did a voice note on this in Telegram today. But it's like, we get to choose now the story. So we can't change what happened yesterday. We can't change what happened before this. We can't change any of this. We cannot maneuver that. Here's what we can do. Right now in this moment, we can make a decision. I will deal with my shit today. I will step behind all of the disconnections in my life, and I will look at self-sabotaging straight in the eyes, or I will own this aspect of my world, or I will decide that old identity of me that's holding all this regret that I didn't get shit done sooner, or that I didn't hit my goals, or I didn't hit the things. I'm going to look at her and be like, I see you. And I'm going to decide today that the movement I'm making today is going to shift all of this. We're going to do some energetic work tomorrow to remove some stuff, because some of you are in heavy stuff that needs to be moved. So the shadow program, this is what we're going to do. But these are some of the questions, and if you can't get the third question, Julie, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I think it's something about where are you blocking yourself? I think that's the question. Oh, look, LaDonna did a good job. She's got them all. Good job, LaDonna. So I think it's that. I think it's the blocking question. It's like, where am I blocking myself? I'm pretty sure that that's the third one. Where am I blocking myself? So we'll add that in. What am I doing? Because the last one was, what am I willing to do to make the change? That's the last one. That's the fourth one. So I'm pretty sure it's something about blocking yourself. Where am I blocking myself from making this happen? Because I said we are all blocking ourselves. Yeah. Okay. So I have one thing I want to mention to you guys before we pop off today. Day 2 is tomorrow. You guys will have the replays. The emails are going to go out tonight with the YouTube replay as well. So if you prefer to have it on YouTube, there'll be a playlist there. I will drop the video into this group, so it will stay in the group. Some of you may or may not know Facebook deletes videos after 30 days, live videos after 30 days. So I will literally drop it in. You guys have access to this unlimited. Sometimes I have a timeline that you can have access to. There's no timeline. This is a lifetime for you guys. 2 things. I'm doing a day 4 upgrade. The price is moving up after I'm done teaching today to $33. If you want to join in day 4, it's on All Hallows Eve on fucking purpose. Not that I did it on purpose. Not that I coordinated this on purpose. I was told to teach this now and didn't even realize how all the pieces were maneuvering through. But we're going to do a big drop in on the 30th. If you want to join in, if you haven't yet. Woo! Let's move some energy there for some of you already. You can still get access to it. I'm going to send the replay out first, so you probably have about 15 minutes before I up the price to $33 to grab it. It's in the group. It's on the email. It's everywhere. You can find it everywhere. So that. Number 2. Some of you guys need some support here. Some of you guys have been cycling and trying this on your own for a long time. And you are in the same cycles. If you look at the beginning of the year, you may be even deeper in this cycle than you were at the beginning of the year, because you've been avoiding the work, or you haven't been going deep enough, or all the things that I've talked about today that I was doing. I don't often promote this. Maybe once a year, I open up space just specifically to do shadow work, It's always weaved into my one-to-one work because of the fact that it's so depthful and it's necessary and needed. And my job is to clear the energetics and to get you into alignment, to own your power and truth and ignite that and get you into the offers that you're meant to serve within and to hold that frequency and confidence in the world. That's my job. Okay, that's one of the aspects of the work I do within the world. But when this was coming together, I was told to relaunch a portal for one-to-one work, for shadow work specifically. And it will be depthful, but coming out on the other side, it will be the biggest liberation that you guys have probably ever felt if this is meant for you. I only opened up 5 spots. One of them was already taken. I have 4 left. And if you really desire to make these shifts in your life, we don't have to start this month. But if this is a cycle that you're in, I'm going to highly suggest we start as soon as possible, because after the first session, I'm going to already clear out so much layers energetically that it's going to be way easier. There will be work attached in this one-to-one portal, but it's a breath. It's a breath. It includes 4 calls with me. We're running for 60 days together, and there's unlimited support around the calls through Telegram. Usually I use that, unless you want to use a different portal. The kicker is it's only $1,500, and you can do it in multiple payments. But my working with me for 30 days is $5,000. So when this dropped in, I was like, are you sure? So I said, and Spirit's like, yes, because there's some people, the other 4 potentially, that need it at this price point to do the work to get to where they need to go. And some of you, that might be a lot right now, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like, you got some shadow work to do, my friend, if you can't hold that energy. If $1,500 feels like a lot in your world right now, let's get into scarcity together tomorrow when you're in this field and get some fucking shit moving, because wealth is your birthright. Money and flow with you is your birthright. If you got my one-to-one email and you didn't jump on this portal, but you know now after being in here that you need to be in it, send me a message, because I might still honor that pricing for you guys, because I'm fun like that. And we can do it in payments. It's not a problem. But it's like there's something moving through your energetic field right now calling you into wherever you need to go. More peace, more joy, more love, more connection, more wealth, more lifestyle, more choices, all of this. But we can't get there unless we move through this aspect of self. I couldn't get to $50,000 months without doing the fucking work around being worthy to hold it. Guys, this is like when they say like most people spiritually bypass the shadow work, this is what I'm talking about. This is the space. And yeah, that's all I got to say about it, because you already know. The link will go out on the replay email coming out for those of you saying yes to this. You want to join the VIPs, you got about 15 to 20 minutes before I up the price. It's $22 right now. You can say no to all of it, and that's amazing too, because your intuition is going to tell you, but some of you are being screamed at right now, and you know that you need to step the fuck into this, because it's like, it's there. It's time. We're done cycling. It's like, you know this to be true. So I want tomorrow, I'm just tapping in to do some energetic work, but I also, if some of you guys are doing the work tonight in the space with those questions and something comes up that you want to address, I want to make sure I've got space tomorrow to ask questions. So if you can't make it live, but something has come up, throw it in the group and I'll make sure to answer it. Okay. So like, I'll make sure to answer it on the live call tomorrow. If you're not in the group and you're just going to watch these on YouTube, but you have a question that comes up, do the exact same thing in the captions on YouTube or in the comments on YouTube. And I will pay attention to that before our call tomorrow. We will have day 3 together as well if you watch this replay late and didn't get it in time. So do the exact same thing, no matter what timeline this is. Because I really feel that we're at this precipice, and you'll get confirmation after confirmation in all different facets moving, especially over the next 6 months in the landscape of what we're moving through in humanity. But we're at a precipice right now, and you're going to hear me starting to talk about the year of completion in 2026. Unless you start to do this work potently in your own space for yourself, some of the energies coming through are going to fucking kick you right out. And not in good ways. They're going to knock you the fuck out. If you're avoiding still and you are not doing this space and work, it's going to get harder and harder for you. So if anything you take from this is that we all got work to do. You don't have to do the work with me. You can literally do it on your own. But if you're like me, you need to fucking help sometimes. You know, Julie knows a friend we have in common. In February of 2023, I started doing unearthing work with a shaman who's a good friend of ours and going into the depths of unearthing. And there was a lot that came through. Let's just tell you that. And I've been doing a lot of this work for a lot of years. There's always layers. More layers, more layers. And one of my clients once asked me, when are we done with this? And I'm like, never, until we die. That's why we came here. It doesn't mean you don't have peace, and it doesn't mean that you don't have quietness and stillness and joy and love. Yeah, we have all those too, but there's work to be done. We're healing timelines and removing so much fucking shit from the collective at this moment, and your light matters, but you can't do your work effectively until you lead from here through your own shadow and transmute it into light. So I want to leave you with that. I will throw up blocking. I just want to double check here what we got going through. Amazing. All of this is good in the space of that. Screenshotted the question, share. Yeah, good. Amazing. LaDonna, thank you for sharing that. Kat's pretty sure she's already feeling that 6-month cosmic. Yeah, I know you are. I'm not surprised, Kat. And you've been doing amazing stuff lately, and I can watch you maneuvering, which has been great. Kat's in some of my other programs, so just witnessing her maneuver through stuff has been awesome to maneuver and to witness. So the work never stops, ever. Okay, I love you guys. The replay's going out. You guys got about 20 minutes if you're coming into the VIP to join me there. If you're already in it, amazing stuff. And if you're in for the one-to-one work, just send me a note. If you've done one-to-one work before with me, send me a message. I'll be willing to negotiate with you. The price I gave you guys is a special price on that email. If you're not in it, but you're taking advantage of it, let's roll. There's 4 spots left. I know it's not easy. Let's breathe. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, whenever that is. I think at 4 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.